boogeyman is real, and you found him.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I'm your number one fan.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
7 days.
I am Dracula.
We have such sights to show you.
Boy! I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
I am the eater of worlds and of children.
What's in the fucking box?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
One by one, we will take you.
Never get out of bed again!
You gotta be fucking kidding.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
Welcome, horror fans. Oh, I almost let myself be muted there, but I caught it. It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. It's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the perfect podcast to accompany the beating of his hideous heart. And if you, dear horror fanatic, if you're listening to us here at the top of the week, or if you're listening to us at the top of the week, remember, we do this every preceding Wednesday right here on YouTube. So come and hang out with us in the live chat. You know, a lot of crazy stuff goes on here. So catch the stuff that you don't see, you don't hear on the regular show. This week, we are looking back at select horror films released May 19th through May 25th. Thank you all so much for joining me for what will surely be a bloody good time. I am JL. And yes, I am holding the fort down tonight. I don't know if somebody will be joining me, but if they do, they'll pop in a little bit later. But I think they're all working right now. I think Aaron's got something going on with the house. So I think he had something like emergency come up, and I know that Johnny and Eugene are working on I think they're on set as we speak. I think they're on set. So, and I'm pretty sure that Alex is dealing with the kids. So, but right now I'm holding it down. So I hope you all are having a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about, a bunch some cool movies and stuff. And I'm hoping that one of the other guys will be able to pop in, because one of the movies we're going to talk about tonight is there's not a lot of info on. And so I wanted to do something a little bit new, because we're all filmmakers, we work in the industry. I want to do something a little bit new, but we'll dive into that here in a little bit. First and foremost, let's make sure we put up that Patreon banner and show all the wonderful names of all those people that helped to make the show possible. Their names are right down there. See them? They support us every single month via Patreon, and they deserve that shout out. So thank you to every single one of you that does that. We appreciate that. And we couldn't do the show without you. So there you go. If you're interested, if you'd like to check it out, see what's available via our Patreon, patreon.com/weekinhorror. Link is in the description. You can check that out if you'd like to support us. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. Those individuals down there have chosen one of those tiers. They help us to make the show possible and the cool stuff we do behind the scenes. So we appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. So you rock. All right. But man, bunch of stuff to chat about tonight. One little sad, kind of, I want to get it out. It's such a shame, broke my heart, and it's never news that you want to get, and it's bittersweet because, unfortunately, we lost one of the great legends, in this genre. Roger Corman, unfortunately, passed away. And we could not go an episode without, showing Roger Corman some love. I mean, few names have been as influential. I mean, you could think of directors across the board that have contributed to the horror genre, but few have been as instrumental from the beginning of their career all the way to the end. Everything that they added to it. There are people who have riffed off Corman's work, people who have adapted Corman's work, who have taken his vision and run with it, but he's one of literally the most influential. He was one of the most influential individuals in this genre, for this genre. I would say for both horror and sci-fi, given what he added to it and all the movies that he. I mean, the guy was prolific, So unfortunately, yes, Roger Corman passed away back on May 9th, and I hate moving a name. Like I've always said before, I hate moving a name in the horror database, moving one of the names from a happy birthday to an in memoriam. But it happens. The one thing, it's bittersweet because while Corman has passed, we do have his incredible, library of films that he has given us. And that man worked non-stop. I think it was like his last film that came out was like, I think the last thing he directed was like 2017. But 98 years old, 98, just cranking it out. And it's just such a damn shame. So I wanted to, but before we dive into anything, I wanted us to kind of like pay our respects to the legendary Roger Corman, who, I mean, you think of the movies that he put out. I mean, that you look at it, everything from like Lords of the Deep back in 1989 and fucking Carnosaur. We played a clip of it in the Terror Tube last week. Piranha, the original Piranha, or not Piranha in 1995. Death Race. I mean, even movies like Piranhaconda, or Camel Spiders. It doesn't matter. And then we gotta love, his Edgar Allan Poe run and everything. And there wasn't anything the man couldn't do, and he was an inspiration to all of us. And so, in honor of Roger Corman and his legacy, man, it sucks talking about him in the past tense. It really does. But in honor of Roger Corman and his incredible legacy, I want everybody out there who's a fan, who listens to the show, put down in the comments what your favorite Roger Corman film, or maybe even your favorite Roger Corman memory. Let's remember Roger Corman and put it down there in the comments and let us know, like, what is your favorite film? Because there's so many under his belt that you may recommend something that somebody hasn't seen before. So throw them down in there and let's kind of like, celebrate, Roger Corman and everything he left for us. So such a damn shame. But rest in peace, Roger Corman. We have your amazing filmography, whether it was B films or A films or whoever you happen to work with at the time. We have all those amazing films to go and look back on and remember. So I had to go back when I heard about it. I immediately, Carnosaur is one of my faves because it's so schlocky and it's so obviously a Jurassic Park rip, but it takes it into straight B horror territory, and it's gory and it's nasty and it's, not really well acted, but it is just fucking pure popcorn entertainment. Gory and gross, and you get a final fight that's like Alien style, where you got it's literally like the dude and the cat versus the dude in like the little cat versus the fucking Tyrannosaurus, and it's like, his guts go everywhere. That right there is what makes it. So rest in peace to Roger Corman. So it's such a damn shame, but we will remember him through his films. All right. I wanted to kick that off. I wanted to get people, remembering him and remember his legacy. And speaking of that, let's see who we have in the live chat tonight. Okay. All those amazing people out there who make this, all these amazing fans that make this, the entire genre, all the work we do possible. I see Casey Cooper's here. Good to see you, Casey. Raven Darkstar as well. Good to see you. Wrote an LS name. Gabba Gabba to you. He says, Leatherface eventually saw the errors in his ways. I'll see myself out. Probably. Yeah, he might come for you. Casey Cooper, thank you so much. He's been a member of the Army of the Dead for 10 months. We do appreciate the support, Casey. You rock, dude. Travis Brown is here. Says, evening, y'all. Cannot wait for Frightmare this weekend because my girlfriend is heading to Dallas today. Yes, Frightmare Weekend, Texas Frightmare Weekend, the largest horror convention in the Southwest, will be this weekend. So the May 19th through the 21st, I do believe. So if you're heading out to Texas Frightmare Weekend and you happen to be listening to this while you're on the way, please be safe, have fun. There's a whole bunch of cool guests that are going to be out there. Travis is going to try and run a little errand for me there if it's possible. It's like, which is because he's heading down there. I'm not this year, but there's a poster that they are selling there this year that I want to get for Angela because she is a huge freaking Rocky Horror fan. Like a massive Frankenfurter fan. She loves that movie, loves Tim Curry, and there's this awesome brand new poster that they are selling at Texas Frightmare Weekend, only at Texas Frightmare Weekend. And I'm hoping that Travis can grab one for me. So that's going to be, if I can get one and get it framed for her, that would be fucking amazing. I think she will love that. She will love the shit out of it. But they have like 4 of the posters. There's one for like Phenomenon, the way, which was the Jennifer Connelly film early in her career. And then I think there's Phenomenon and Tenebrae. And I know Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I know there's a 4th one, but I can't write. I'm spacing on it at the moment. But 4 like completely original posters. These are not like the old stuff. These are completely original artworks, which I think is really, 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 really cool. So, but have fun out there. Be safe driving, and I hope you have a blast. Hope the lines are not too long for you. So have fun, Travis. And I hope to hear from you. Left-Handed Jedi is here, who has also been a member of the Army of the Dead for 5 months. Good to see you, Left-Handed Jedi. Appreciate you hanging out. You rock. Raven Darkster says, do you remember what season of Week in Horror had the three-headed dog? That would be season 1. That goes all the way back to our season 1 logo when we had no fucking clue what we were doing. And we were just trying to put out some sort of like marketing that kind of set us apart. And so the Cerberus idea came across because there were 3 of us. You know, that's why if you look at the season 2 artwork, there are 3 skeletons. So, because there were 3 of us at the beginning. It was me, Eugene, and Alex. And so the three-headed dog was just that, just kind of, it was cheap, it was fast, it was easy, and we just put it out there. So, but that would be the season 1 artwork that you're referring to. Yep. Let me see. Who else do we have tonight? Sarcasm is here. It says, good evening, fellow bloodsuckers. Good to see you, Sarcasm. Yep, wrote it. I am on time. So, as Casey Cooper says, is jail alone. Yep. Tang Whistle's here. Good to see you, Tang. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you hanging out. Omniora Sporos. Good to see you. Says, yep, on time for anything but a jail solo. Sparty the 13th. Sparty 13th is here. Says St. John's Michigan Jason is in the house. Good to see you, Sparty. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. It was a pleasure seeing you last week, and I'm glad you're here now. So I hope you enjoy the show, even though it's just me, just little old me. So I'll try to make it as entertaining as possible. Josh Willie is here. Says, it is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, middle of the week. What better way to get over the hump than talking about the films that we love so much and the genre we love so much? Speaking of which, I had a fucking amazing front row series a couple of days ago. An amazing front row series. It was a blast with filmmaker Spencer Simmons. His award-winning short film Monsters is currently on YouTube, and I can't, because Spencer's such an awesome dude, and we had such a fantastic chat. For those of you who have early access to our front row series, you're going to get it on Patreon at the top of the month. But it just kind of like, it invigorated, because he's kind of young and he's getting into the industry and he's forging his path, and his optimism and the things he's learning just took me back to my early days. And so it was so much fun talking with him. So I hope you all enjoy that as well. You know, hey, Wednesday, what better way to get over Wednesday? Left-Handed Jedi says Abigail was amazing. Abigail was very impressive. I was really impressed with the writing, and obviously the actress, Weir, I know her last name is Weir, who plays Abigail. She's an Irish actress. Irish actress and dancer. She was amazing in that. I thought everybody was great. And of course, Kevin Durand and Angus Cloud, they did their, and rest in peace, Angus Cloud, because he passed away recently, or passed away last year. But yeah, I thought that movie was hella entertaining. The writing is what got me. There were some really smart lines and smart dialogue in that film, and I really enjoyed it. Very almost low key. It didn't try to hit you over the head with how smart it was, but it was just intelligent writing. It didn't treat the audience like an idiot, that we could pick up on it. So I really, really enjoyed that. Really good. Abigail was good. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out as soon as you can. Let me see. Who else do we have in the chat tonight? I see. There's a lot of love there. A lot of love for Corman. Yep. Historical Philosopher's here. Good to see you, Historical Philosopher. HP, you rock. Angel Rivera as well says, got here late, but here. What up, Horror Fiends? Good to see you, Angel. Appreciate you being here with us tonight. NA as well. Good to see you, as well as, let me see. Oh, it says, don't tell our secret, jail. Well, sorry, Travis. I'm excited about it. So Operation Free World is here. It says, yo, good to see you, Operation Free World. Aaron Reese as well is hanging out. And it says, wait, we have a clue what we're doing now? Almost. We almost have a clue about what we're doing. Almost. 5 years in, I think I've got it figured out. I think I figured out the formula. I do. I know there's pieces that you put together, slowly but surely, but I think I've almost figured it out. Figuring out the solo show, like figuring that out, like how to do them like that was fucking tough. But writing scripts and doing marketing and doing all the social media stuff and essentially getting the show to a place where it kind of runs itself, that's a heavy learning curve. That's a big learning curve. Some Werewolf is here. Good to see you, Some Werewolf. Appreciate you being here. Let me see who else. NA has gifted 5 memberships to the Army of the Dead. Thank you so much, NA. Very generous of you. We do appreciate that. Joshua Lee says, as far as swag goes, I just got a No Lives Matter mug. I hope you like those No Lives Matter mugs. We got the Michael Myers one, and we've got the Jason Voorhees one. The Jason Voorhees one specifically is a camping mug, is one of those metal camping mugs. So I hope you enjoy those. But yeah, some people have been winning those from the trivia prizes at the end of every episode. So I hope you dig those. Operation Free World says, come on, Jail. There's so many better energy drinks out. This isn't 2012 anymore. Yeah, but this is the only one that I like the taste of. I don't know what it is. This is the only one I don't like the taste of, and it aggravates the. I it's kind of a litmus test for how my day is going to go if I can't get one. If like they're unavailable, that happens sometimes because I live rurally, and sometimes they don't get restocked. So what do I do? So if I can't get one, I just know my day. So I gotta go to regular coffee. And I don't mind coffee. I prefer drinking coffee in kind of like a social setting, like in a diner or something like that. That's where I like my coffee. But if I can't get one, my day, I already know my day is not going to go great. It's not going to be fantastic. And he says 21 in the chat. Let's see those likes, people. Thank you very much, Anna. Yeah, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. We do appreciate the support. Joshua Lee says, I got the camping one. Make sure that if you won something, okay, or even if you bought something from the Week in Horror store, or if you won something for one of the trivia prizes, throw those pictures up. Put them up in the Show Your Swag so people can see what they look like. Because sometimes the pictures on Teespring leave something to be desired. Because it's just like the image there, no background, no depth. You just get like this flat image of what we have up there. So if you win something, be sure to put it up there so people can check it out and see how cool they are. I can tell you this, the artwork on the t-shirts and the hoodie looks amazing. Teespring, at least I'll give them this. For all their shitty shipping issues, they're printed, like how they print the artwork looks fantastic. So and their pint glasses. The pint glasses look amazing. So I will give them that. But we love to see those pictures. Jasper, good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Lieutenant J says, I posted pics of the glasses that had won. Yes, you did. I check them all out. Those things look really, really good, And I can't wait. Because they're up there. I can't wait for somebody to pick up one of the puzzles of one of the old artworks, pick up like one of the artwork puzzles, assemble that, and then frame it. Put it together and frame it so it's on the wall. Because I like puzzles as art. I don't know why. I've always dug it. So you put the puzzle together one time and you're done. So, but I think it was because I had a relative that used to do that when I was young. I think it was like my mom's sister or maybe my uncle used to like put puzzles together and then glue them down and then glue them to a base and then frame them as artwork. Maybe that's where it got stuck in my head. I have no idea. But yeah, I think those will look really, really cool when they get done. Hell yes. Aaron Reese says, if I can get Blender down, maybe we can 3D print a few one-of-a-kind prizes. That would be kind of cool. That would be 3D printed prizes. That'd be sweet. Casey Cooper says, face of jail, you're weird just like the rest of us. I am. I really, really am. I am. That you haven't seen my the entirety of where I live. So you just see the office, my whole place is eclectic as fuck. It's like a different genre or a different subculture in every room. It's wild like that. So it's like a different mood every place you go in the house. I think that might have been intentional. Or maybe when I was decorating, it was just, my mind switching gears for every room that I was in. I have no idea, but that's pretty much it. That's the way it is here. So Angel Rivera says the artwork on the coffee mug is great. Fantastic. That is good to hear. I love the way they look. Left-Handed Jedi says, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. Fuck yes, we do. And NAS says, I love your office. Thank you so much. I love the space here. And I always try to add little new things, see if people can find them or people see them, maybe ask questions. But yeah, I love this little space. I really do. I can't wait to be able to add more autographs and stuff to the wall because, there's a bunch up there, but I'd love to be able to add more. Number one, that's another big thing. I would eventually like to get a bigger office space because there's so much to show. I'd love to be able to show all of it, not just this one angle. I'd love to be able to show everybody everything. So, but thank you all so much for being here. We do appreciate that. So much stuff to go talk about. We definitely get our send off to Roger Corman, and that's not all though. So a couple of things that picked up in the news that got my attention, and I think y'all might find interesting as well. And I would love to hear your opinions on these things. I really would. So let us know down in the comments below. But first and foremost, because we are in the vein of everything getting a fucking sequel or everything getting a prequel or everything getting a reboot, that seems to be the trend these days of the horror genre. We're not getting a whole lot of original content, although we are getting some. We aren't getting a whole lot of original shit, but we are getting a lot of the other stuff. But That being said, even though in the wake of A24 retooling the Crystal Lake series for Peacock, we just got new news that Apartment 7 is coming out. Yes, Apartment 7, if you have not heard about that, or sorry, Apartment 7A, from the director of Relic. Apartment 7A is heading to Paramount Plus, starring Julia Garner of Ozark fame, and of course, we are who we are. Is a Rosemary's Baby prequel. So Rosemary's Baby is getting a prequel called Apartment 7A, being directed by the director of Relic, which was Natalie Erica James, and starring Julia Garner, Diane Weiss, Jim Sturgis, Kevin McNally, Marlee Sue, Andrew Buchan, Rosie McEwen, and Kobna Holdbrook Smith. So a bunch of big names that are in this, but it is a prequel to Rosemary's Baby. And the premise is when a struggling young dancer, played by Julia Garner, suffers a devastating injury, she finds herself drawn in by dark forces when a peculiar, well-connected older couple promises her a shot at fame. So, and this will be releasing around Halloween on Paramount Plus. So yes, we're getting a prequel to Rosemary's Baby. Why? I have no idea. That premise that I just read does not need to be a Rosemary's Baby prequel. It doesn't. That could stand on its own. That could. Okay? The dancer thing, gives me like Suspiria vibes because of the dance studio and like the dark forces behind that and giving you what you weigh, shit like that. But yes, a Rosemary's Baby prequel coming to Paramount Plus this Halloween, starring Julia Garner. That's a good thing. It's got a fantastic cast. Great director. Relic was fantastic. You got Natalie Erica James who directed it. You got Julia Garner, Diane Weiss, Jim Sturgis. Fantastic. Jim Sturgis was in one of my favorite horror films, Heartless, with Timothy Spall. Great English horror film that just kind of rocks me every time I watch it. So fantastic cast, great director. Why it has to be a Rosemary's Baby prequel, no fucking clue. But let us know down in the comments below what y'all think about this Rosemary's Baby prequel. Do we need it? Do we not need it? Could it stand on its own? Is it just like using Rosemary's Baby to kind of draw attention to it, and it could have been its own independent thing? Or do you think it's just, a cash grab? Whatever. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below at weekinhorror@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think. Rosemary's Baby prequel. Why do we need a Rosemary's Baby prequel? Why? We don't. We never did. It's fucking silly. Absolutely silly. But hey, I'm not the bean counter making decisions. I really am not. All right. Ondine is here. Good to see you, Ondine. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. Ondine La Chaîne de Frousson. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly because I know you're in France, but hello. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much, especially that you're like so many hours ahead of us. We appreciate you popping in. Aaron Reese says I would kill for walls to mount some more of my stuff. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, Raven Doctor says, go to Aztec Dummies channel. His house beats yours. I have no doubt. His house beats mine. None whatsoever. This is not the best at all. I mean, I have more stuff to show. I've got artwork over on this wall that you can't see. I've got stuff back here. There's a lot of stuff here, but I can't. I mean, obviously, the space is just too narrow for me to show everything. Maybe one day, maybe one day. Posters, autographs, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. Aaron Reese says, it doesn't matter what they do if the audience walks in expecting Polanski. They've shot themselves in the foot for easy marketing. Agreed. Absolutely. So, probably a cash grab. Yeah, Casey Cooper says, Rosemary cash grab. That's what I'm thinking myself. Well, I guess we'll wait and see what happens, And this next bit is kind of important. So, for all of y'all who are really, really familiar with the show, you may be familiar with the very first guest that we had, whoever came onto the show with us, a person working in the industry, Matthew Mark Hunter. Matthew Mark Hunter has been a longtime friend of the show. He's been working in the industry for many years. He's got over 300 productions under his belt. He pretty much has forged his own path. Now he does work for Troma and Full Moon Pictures, and he is just kicking ass, taking names. He's a multimedia artist. He does horror films. He does short films. He does non-horror fiction. He does non-horror fiction narrative stuff. He does children's work. The guy can do anything. And he has been a longtime fan and a longtime supporter of the channel. We love his work. The guy's amazing. Plus, he's an independent guy. He did what Sam Raimi tells you to do. Just go out and film something. He went out and filmed something. He took his love for puppets, took his love for gore, and it took his inspirations from Troma and Full Moon, and he fucking ran with it. And now he's doing the professional work. He went from directing movies like Crab Boy, where it's a dude with like, oven mitts. Oh, they look like oven mitts, I'm sorry. But, but like with, crabs. To directing movies like that. To directing Lloyd Kaufman in Air Fryer Slaughter. A movie about a sentient air fryer that goes on a killing spree. And with starring Lloyd Kaufman. That's how he's forged his path. He is like made it, or he is making it. Okay, that's how you do it. Struggle, perseverance, and you just put fucking pedal to metal every goddamn weekend, which is what he did. 300, I think almost 300 productions under his belt. It's freaking ridiculous. Unfortunately, YouTube, this lovely place that we are right now, YouTube in all of its infinite wisdom, deleted Matthew's channel. Just fucking deleted it. Like, killed it. And I think that the excuse that they gave was adult content, adult or sexual content. And that was bullshit, because I've seen Matthew's stuff, and there was nothing on his channel that violated TOS. But apparently someone out there complained. Maybe they complained, maybe they bitched, maybe they whined. I have no freaking clue. Maybe they had a hair up their ass. But whatever happened, Matthew Mark Hunter's YouTube channel got deleted. 500 videos on his channel. Thousands of hours of work. Thousands of subscribers. Gone. Like that. And no recourse. Like, he tried to appeal it. They shut him down. So, why am I bringing this up? Because Matthew, obviously, as you've seen, I described his journey. As a filmmaker. That man don't quit. He don't quit for nobody. And he has started up his YouTube channel again. And he's going to get it going again and build it up. So, for all of you out there who are familiar with Matthew's work, or maybe you're not familiar with his work, here is the kind of opportunity to check his stuff out. YouTube at MMH Productions 2. That's the new channel. At MMH Productions 2. Because what used to be MMH Productions. Now it's MMH Productions 2. If you get the opportunity, pop over there and throw him a subscribe. Back him up, show him some love. Watch his content. So, but yeah, Matthew Mark Hunter, huge friend of the channel. Very first guest who ever came on our show to talk to us. He's hung out with us during the show, talked about movies. We had him on the Front Row series recently, talked about his entire experience. We heard about this over social media. Someone that YouTube shut him down. No. We're going to back him up. We're going to have his back. So, giving a huge shout out for Matthew Mark Hunter and his entire crew that works behind him. Those people who come in every single weekend and bust their asses for little to no money to make those projects happen. That YouTube channel was major for them, and YouTube kind of just tried to kill him. So, at MMH Productions 2 here on YouTube. Throw them a subscribe, like their stuff. Give them some comments, interact with the channel, help them build back quick, because they did not deserve what YouTube did to them. They did not. So, hope you guys can help with that. All right. Yes, thank you, Sarcasm, for throwing the link in there. MMH Productions 2. So, you guys rock. Let's make sure we give Matthew some support and show him some love. Like, subscribe, and comments. Let him know his stuff. Everything you have to say, he wants to hear it. He loves interacting with y'all. He loves hearing what people think about his work. Comments, tips, suggestions, whatever it might be. So, love that you guys are willing to help him out. Absolutely. Last thing, I promise you, before we dive into tonight, because there was a bunch of shit. Could you imagine if there was more than one? If there was like a second person here, we'd never get through this. I swear. But it's just me. So, moving on to the last thing we've got before we dive into tonight's selections, there is a new movie coming out. Trailers that come along, I've got to friggin' point them out. I got to catch them so that we can watch them. And this next one is really interesting. Y'all know how much I love Norwegian horror. And I know y'all love Norwegian horror too, because Norwegian horror is fucking amazing. They push the boundaries where American cinema will not. I love foreign horror. Foreign horror is fucking amazing. It's just great. But there's a new Norwegian horror film coming out called Handling the Undead, and it looks creepy as fuck. And we have the trailer for you here. So let's cue up the terror tube and check this bad boy out. Handling the Undead.
What do you want, Mikey?
I want to thank you, Miss Gelder. You were the best teacher I ever had. I learned a lot. But would you teach me one more thing?
What?
How to die.
gotta love Neon. Neon's put out some amazing shit these days.
Fenomenet ser ut til å begrense seg til Oslo-regionen. Helt presis hva som har skjedd, det er usikkert.
Mamma er død.
Og så våknet hun igjen.
Hva betyr det?
Jeg vet ikke.
Mamma er på sykehuset.
Nei, nå mister vi han igjen.
Jeg har savnet deg. Jag älskar dig, vare sig du vill eller inte. Se, mamma. Er den ikke fin?
Du må ikke holde så hardt. Nå må du slippe. Ebba, slutt!
Jag älskar dig, vare sig du vill eller inte. Pappa! Jag älskar dig, vare sig du vill eller inte.
Yes, that was the trailer for Handling the Undead. It is a fascinating looking horror film, coming out in Norway. The premise is on a hot summer day in Oslo, the dead mysteriously awaken and 3 families are thrown into chaos when their deceased loved ones come back to them. Who are they and what do they want? Directed by Thea Hevenstall and starring Renate Reinsve, Anders Danielsen Lee, and Bahar Pars. I think the release date on this bad boy is there a release date yet? I don't think one has been announced yet. Yeah, no release date as of yet, but I believe it's coming out this year. It's slated for this year, but really, really looking forward to this bad boy. It's based on a novel of the same name by the writer from the author of Let the Right One In, which is another amazing horror film. So I think that one's going to be fascinating. Based on the trailer, if you're looking forward to Handling the Undead, let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. I have high hopes for this one. Love a good retelling of that. I love Norwegian filmmaking. So much emphasis on still life and symmetry and shape. Not to mention light, like blacks and whites, like light and dark. So I love the way this one looks, and I can't wait for it to come out. So Handling the Undead. That was the trailer for it. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. All right. I think it's time to dig into the selections that we have tonight. Yeah, Joshua Lee says, looks to be full of the feels. Absolutely. It really, really does. Oh, Sally Skellington is here. Good to see you, Sally. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for all those wonderful zombies. We do appreciate that. I think I didn't miss anybody else. Some werewolf, I think I saw you there. Some werewolves here. It says they're slaying. Like, actually, they were. Yeah, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. And Tang Whistle. I hope you like. We got your idea, and we are putting. You see the names of the clips that are in the names of the films that are in the Terror Tube. They're all there in the description. So we're putting those in there. So if you see something you've never seen before, you've got the name to the movie that you can go and watch it. So, and I'm going to try. It's taking time to go back to all the previous episodes and start putting those in there for every single one, because it's going to take time, but they're in there now. We're going to try and update all of the episodes to include that. So Aaron Reese has got to lurk and drive. Yeah, be back in a while. Take it easy, Aaron. Be safe out there. Appreciate that. Cindy Sue is here. Good to see you, Cindy Sue. Says hi. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Jay Christoph is here. Says little kids in old horror films were scary and creepy. Not so much in today's films, although they should be given the plight of the world today. Shucks. Good point, Jay Kristoff. Good point, and good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. We do appreciate it. All right. Says, Tay, you're going to update the backlog? Holy cow, man. I have to, got to update the backlog. That's part of it. That's part of the work, is making sure that we stay consistent throughout the whole thing. So if somebody goes back and is watching it, they've got access to all the stuff that people in the forefront have. So, or people who are up to or caught up with. So we got, it's part of it, it's part of this going back and adjusting the descriptions to make sure that, not to mention checking links, see if any links are dead, maintaining that stuff. It's all part of the logistics. All part of the logistics of the show, but that's your idea, so we appreciate that. You tell, because I don't know why I didn't think of it. It would seem obvious, put the names of the movies that are being clipped in the TerraTube, put them in there, duh. So, but thank you so much. You're smarter than we are, so appreciate that, Tang. All right, let's dive in. Let's dive into our selections tonight. First up, released May 19th, 1989. Holy shit, I was 8 years old. I hadn't yet turned 9 yet, so I was 8 years old. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Jedi, who was gifted 5 memberships to the Army of the Dead. We do appreciate that, Lieutenant Jedi. You rock. Thank you very much. And thank you so much, On Dean. We do appreciate that. Thank you very much. We love that support. So, Fright Night Part 2, May 19th, 1989. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the TerraTube.
Tired of good girls?
Good night, Charlie.
Ready for some real excitement? Looking for someone incredibly seductive?
Do you know how to use your lips, Charlie?
Then this is your lucky night.
Welcome to Fright Night.
Fright Night II.
I kill vampires.
Enter a world where each embrace takes your breath away.
Come kiss me.
Maybe it's the full moon, Charlie.
And every kiss is a killer. Roddy McDowell, William Ragsdale.
Do you mind if I borrow these?
If you thought one was fun, wait till you do 2. Fright Night 2.
Oh, man.
Yes, that was the trailer for Fright Night Part 2. So the sequel to the classic Fright Night, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace and written by Tommy Lee Wallace, Tim Metcalf, and Miguel Tejada Flores, based on characters created by legendary director Tom Holland, and of course starring Roddy McDowell, legendary Roddy McDowell, William Ragsdale, Tracy Lind, and Julie Carmen from In the Mouth of Madness fame, John Grease, Brian Thompson, character actor Brian Thompson, Merritt Buttrick, Ernie Sabella, Josh Richmond, and Blair Tefkin. So the film continues the story of Charlie, played by William Ragsdale, who is now at college, and he has a new girlfriend, and it turns out that another vampire has moved into town. It turns out that it is the sister of Jerry Dandridge from the very first film, and she has her eyes set on Charlie and Peter Vincent to exact her revenge and kill everybody. And of course, hijinks ensue. The big thing about, so obviously, I think the very first thing that people are going to point out about Fright Night Part 2 was that while the film is compelling, The film, I found it was like, as far as the narrative goes, as far as storyline goes. The problem is that I found that while it was compelling, there was obviously something missing from this film. Okay. And it felt very much like to me that because the original vision of Tom Holland, the original creator of this, who wanted to come back and do a sequel, and everybody was interested in doing a sequel, everyone was like, yes, let's revisit these characters and bring them back again. Unfortunately, he found it very, very difficult to get another movie off the ground. And that's weird. It was odd considering the success of the first film. And predominantly this came down to budgetary issues. Is that initially, despite the success of the first film and making so much money, the second film just could not get as much funding as the first film, and they wound up with like a dramatically slashed budget, which really pissed people off. That's why Tommy Lee Wallace was brought in. Tommy Lee Wallace, who, if you remember that name correctly, Tommy Lee Wallace directed what was it? He was an editor on Halloween and an editor on The Fog. He was working with John Carpenter. He directed the 1990 miniseries It, the adaptation of It. So, but he's a fantastic director. He also directed Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, which is one of my favorite Halloween films. So Tommy Lee Wallace, competent director, but they didn't have a lot of money to work with. Not to mention, the original idea for Fright Night Part 2, the original idea was to bring everyone back, to bring Amanda Bierce back as Charlie's girlfriend, to bring as Amy, to bring Stephen Jeffries back as Evil Ed, to bring Jerry Dandridge back, to bring the dude the director Holland that he loves, his bodyguard guy. I can't remember his name, but they were going to bring everybody back, and it was going to be that Jerry was somehow brought back from the dead, and then he goes to exact his revenge, and Evil Ed is there, and so it was going to be like this awesome revenge flick. That never happened, and so much time went by that eventually schedules became untenable. They weren't able to do anything. Chris Sarandon was no longer available because he was filming Child's Play. Okay. Stephen Jeffries actually passed on it because while he liked the idea, he wasn't a fan of the script. And so he passed on that so he could get the lead performance in 976 Evil. So he wasn't available for that. And Amanda Bierce, too much time went by, and Amanda Bierce had picked up Married with Children. So they were all busy. So nobody could break their schedules to come out and do anything. So it was kind of like, what the hell are we going to do? And unfortunately, what that resulted in was this kind of really, really, quickly thrown together film that served as the sequel. Now, it was great that they got Roddy back, and it was great that they got William Ragsdale back. The problem was that given the speed at which they ran with this film to try and get out, not to mention, I believe it released direct to video. If I remember correctly. I think, or maybe, no, I think it had a brief, right here. Yeah, sorry about that. It had a brief theatrical run and then pretty much saw whatever success it had on home video. And so because of the speed that went into making this thing happen, I felt that William Ragsdale and Roddy McDowall were not given the opportunity to really try and flesh their characters out to the degree that we would expect. Because at this point, we have, we're a few years past. I think they're like a year past, or like a little over a year past the events that took place in the first film. Those events would have dramatic effects on the characterizations. Okay, I would have no surprise if Charlie went dark and if Roddy went kind of like egotistical because now he's a legitimate vampire, and they got to kind of play that. But I felt, maybe you disagree with me, I felt that they played echoes of that. It was kind of like almost, and I hate to say this, almost like it was being phoned in. Definitely, professional. It wasn't, like just an awful, like we're giving up performance, but I don't feel like the effort was there that was in the first film. Now, Julie Carmen was great. I thought Julie Carmen brought it. She's a fantastic actress. She always brings it. Thought she was fantastic. Wasn't a giant fan of the kind of like the change up in the vampire design and like the monstrous designs. Although the human versions, Brian Thompson and the other characters, were great. I loved that 80s appeal that was just across the board. I loved that. But there was, and I think Carmen brought a little bit of the something that Chris Sarandon brought, because Chris Sarandon was amazing, as both the monster and the man. Julie Carmen I thought was great, but I felt that it kind of like, it didn't give her the opportunity to really express how awesome that character, like Dandridge's sister, could have been. So it's almost like everyone got a very limited toolbox. as far as their performances go. And I feel that kind of drags it down, which is why there's so many areas in the script where it relies on the comedy over the horror, you know? Like almost saying like, you know, like having Julie Carmen say, having Regina say, "Welcome to Fright Night again." That's a throwaway. We don't need that. That would have been cool if Roddy McDowell had it, if Peter Vincent had that line. If he walks in and is like, you know, they're like, he's like, "Welcome to Fright Night." Like, you know, because he's the host now, you know, to see it come full circle. That would have smarter decisions. Like that would have been what I thought would have been great. But it didn't go that route. So while entertaining, yes, and some good moments, I just don't feel like people got their opportunities. Too little money, too little time, not enough freedom for everybody to do their jobs accordingly. And that's also why I feel that, you know, and I felt it was kind of like the dragging performance of the movie. But Tracy Lind, who's very, very talented actress, Tracy Lind winds up turning in a performance that I felt was copying what Amanda Bierce brought in the first film. The way she delivers her lines, the short kind of like truncated, you know, like very, very short, very staccato way that she delivers her stuff, I felt was just copying Amanda Bierce. It was almost like watching Superman Returns, where you got Kevin Spacey and you got Brandon Routh and you've got Kate Bosworth doing their best impressions of Christopher Reeves, Christopher Reeves and holy shit, their names are escaping me. Fucking hell. And, you know, Lois Lane and Gene Hackman doing their best impressions of their performances. Let's just take what worked there and just replace it here. I got that a lot, you know, from this film. And I will give him this as well. And I will. Dylan Prell, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you. He says, John Grease needed more screen time. Kind of funny how he was in a role that was werewolf-like. Right. Like, the library sequence was great. Him clawing on the walls, and he gets his you know, and then he gets his claws cut off by the windowsill, like you saw in the trailer, and falls in the bushes. Then he comes up and he's human. That physical comedy is fantastic. That's why the minions, I felt, were better fleshed out than Regina. But that's because they're one-dimensional. They're meant to be comic relief. They're scary, but they're comic relief. It's kind of like the other vampires in The Lost Boys, where Kiefer Sutherland was the real dangerous one. But Alex Winter and the other guys, they're comic relief. They're there to provide levity to Kiefer Sutherland's darkness, to kind of balance out the coven. And so Margot Kidder, thank you very much. Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman, and Christopher Reeves, where they were kind of like drawing from that. Where Wallace makes up for it, and it was a good decision, is that the special effects were fantastic. The practical effects in this were good. And I like that they added some new stuff in there, which was solid and very, very smart. So at least the money went the right direction. But it's just not going to be able to capture the magic of the first one, you know, of like people, normal everyday people suddenly realizing or finding out, or normal everyday people who love the supernatural and the horror, but they they believe it's not real, finding out it's real and then coming to terms with that. That's the arc that is amazing in that. Not to mention, we didn't get anything like Evil Dead's arc. Part of that's why I love Stephen Jeffries so much in the first Fright Night, because his arc from the lovable loser to the I'll always be an outcast to turned into a minion of the villain, that arc, that emotion in that lent a level of gravity, that the gravitas of that helped to really balance out Fright Night, to balance the cheekiness of vampires, you know, like the cheekiness of kind of the premise with the gravity of, you know, your friends are dying and, you know, horror movie, you know, there is horror involved. Let's not get caught up in the whole like, whoa, I'm a dread, you know, like, but legitimately the terror of that. And we didn't really get that in the second film. So there was way too much up and not enough down, not enough, I would say gravity, not enough down. I felt it just, I didn't really dig the direction that it went. But then again, you work with what you got. So that's the killer. But nonetheless, it is still an entertaining film. There's a lot of funny moments, a lot of great acting. But like I said, look at the things that Roddy McDowall did. Legendary Roddy McDowall. And a lot of the things that he just replicated from the first film. Exact same interactions. Showing over a year's time, virtually little growth in the character other than kind of like resting on his laurels because, hey, I'm so amazing now. That's not enough. You know, it's almost like I felt about Malcolm McDowell in Zombies H2. I understand the character arc, but there wasn't enough nuance to it to ground it. So it just seemed like Malcolm McDowell went from the doctor trying to help, the Loomis trying to help, to the Loomis who's a dick. Like, why? You know? So it was very one note. And these talents are worth so much more than that. So I think ultimately the sacrifices that were made here were made in the name of profits, to get it done quick, to get it out as quickly as possible, and to kind of capitalize on the strength of the first one without spending too much money. So I did. Yeah, you seem stressed. You should go bowling. While the whole sequence of like the head coming up and Brian Thompson being a vampire being freaked out by a head, it's so weird. It's so goofy. But the whole sequence of like, I mean, I felt that they sacrificed too much. There's good things going on here. Okay, Julie Carmen. I love Julie Carmen. She's fantastic, and I love that her ability to emote just like brings it, which is why I thought that she was a fantastic choice to follow up Chris Sarandon's. I just wish she'd been given more. I wish that these actors had more to really showcase their talents and to what they could really come across. I want to see more of that deep arc, to really come across as a sequel, So, but nonetheless, Fright Night Part 2 is an enjoyable popcorn watch, but if you haven't seen it and you're expecting kind of the same kind of vibe or the same kind of energy as the original Fright Night, I just don't feel it pop. But you will likely enjoy it if you go into, with the expectation of what you're going to get. You're going to get some solid performances, just where you're going to wind up wishing that you got more. And so at least we have the original Fright Night. And of course, there's the remake with Anton Yelchin and David Tennant. David Tennant was amazing in that. He was fantastic. We can talk about Fright Night Part 2, the sequel to that one, a little bit later when they recast everybody. But that brings me to the question that I have tonight. The question for the audience. Of the 4 Fright Night films that have been released, 4 people have played vampires, okay? There have been 4 vampires in these different... Each movie has a different major vampire. There have been other vampires, but a primary vampire in each one. Now, the primary vampire, obviously, you've got Chris Sarandon, you have got Chris Sarandon, you have got Julie Carmen, you have got Colin Farrell. I thought Colin Farrell was fantastic. He was great. And then you've got Jamie Murray, okay? And I love Jamie Murray. I first saw Jamie Murray in The Deaths of Ian Stone, and I knew she was going to be amazing. Then she was in Dexter, and so I've been following her. And then, she was in Spartacus, as well. Or she was in the Spartacus, Gods of the Arena. But you've got 4 different actors who have played the big bad vampire in Fright Night. Chris Sarandon, Julie Carmen, Jamie Murray, and Colin Farrell. And I want to know, for y'all out there, which one of them was your favorite? Who was your favorite Fright Night vampire? Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, Julie Carmen as Regina Dandridge, Colin Farrell as the new Jerry Dandridge. It was kind of cool because he got to kill Chris Sarandon in that one sequence. That was kind of neat. It was a nice little throw in. Or Jamie Murray from the 2013 Fright Night II. Jamie Murray, what was her name? Can't remember her name. Elizabeth Bathory. So let us know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com which one of those vampires, which one of those actors was your favorite to play a vampire in the Fright Night franchise so far. I'm very curious. So I see a lot of love for Chris Sarandon. Chris Sarandon was amazing, dude. The combination of terrifying and Chris Sarandon was dead ass sexy. That man was dead ass sexy in that film. He was. There were some moments in there. It's Chris Sarandon. But Chris Sarandon, I see a lot of love. Joshua Lee says Julie was pretty good. She was. Sarcasm says Chris Sarandon blew it out of the park. The charm and the threat of power. He's the inspiration for my soft dom persona. Nice. Chris Sarandon, the first is the best. Light of the Jedi, excellent. Let us know down in the comments below, weekinhorror@gmail.com. Your favorite of the big bad, your favorite actor of the big bad vampires from Fright Night. Love to hear what you guys think. All right. Moving on to our second film, released May 23rd, 1972. This is such an oddball film. It really is kind of great, but we have Stanley. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube.
have an idea.
Okay.
Has symbolized the darkest fears of man's primitive emotions. It is a creature that is hypnotic, sensual, and loathsome. It is the snake. But not all men have known a snake like Stanley. Meet Stanley, a snake unlike any you have ever seen, in a motion picture that will make your skin crawl. A terrifying journey into the primitive swamps and jungles of the Everglades, a world where the only instinct is survival. A world where the cold-blooded creatures walk on two legs.
There's no accident. There's no accident. We shot your father. We killed him. Why? Now you're gonna get what you gave me a few minutes ago.
Stanley, the incredible story of a man and snake. They shared a bond of trust in a world of hate.
I'm sorry, Stanley, but you're going to have to stay in the truck. People just don't understand friendly rattlesnakes.
Stanley.
Is there
starring
such
Chris
a thing?
Robinson, a man who could no longer live among men. Stanley, a snake who trusted his natural enemy and was used to carry out a man's personal vengeance. Stanley, the incredible story of a man who killed to save the friends he loved and learned to love the art of killing. When Tim gets mad, Stanley gets deadly.
Stanley. Bite his hand.
There has never been a motion picture like it. If you have ever touched the emotions of horror and revulsion, if you have ever feared the fangs of death, then you know the terrifying impact of Stanley. A snake that learned that only man kills his own kind.
Man, you gotta love that 70s theme music. But yes, that was the trailer for Stanley. So, directed by the legendary William Grefé and screenplay by Gary Crutcher, and starring Chris Robinson, Alex Rocco, Steve Alaimo, Susan Carroll, and Mark Harris. So the film follows a Seminole Indian and Vietnam veteran who is living out in the middle of nowhere in the Everglades, away from everybody, because his, obviously the issues that he has coming back from the war have left him kind of like hating humanity. And he lives out there with this collection of dangerous snakes, rattlesnakes and water moccasins and constrictors, all kinds of stuff, just all over his place. And pretty much just, kind of living his life. And when the outward society begins to encroach upon him, resulting in a grave tragedy, he embarks on a path of revenge and destruction until pretty much everything shit gets real, as Eugene likes to say. Now, the big thing about this film, Josh Lee said, I'm tired of these effing snakes in my mother effing movie. Right. So the big thing about this movie, the hard thing, that this will be a tough movie for some people to watch. I don't know how many people out there have seen the movie or watched the movie when you saw the poster come up in the community tab, but this will be one of the tougher movies to watch. First and foremost, yes, I will confirm this, and I did some heavy investigating to try and figure out, because finding out stuff about this movie was actually kind of difficult. And I think there's a reason why. One, there was legitimate animal violence in this. There unfortunately, it was 1972. The rules weren't really there, and what you see on screen, just like Cannibal Holocaust, just like Apocalypse Now and the deleted scenes of Apocalypse Now, there was some legitimate animal violence in this. And the animal violence includes the smashing of some baby rattlesnakes with, the bad guy smashes it with a shotgun. And then, of course, the shooting of a snake in the house. So, like, that was legit. And a lot of the throwing snakes around was all legit. There were no fake snakes. No fake snakes used in this at all. Which means there were sequences when snakes had to bite people or snakes had to go and like attack people. The problem is that in the production, how can you do that and use a real snake and get the actual effect? Well, they defanged a lot of them or sewed their mouths shut. And it's fucked up because if you look at some of the close-up scenes, you can see the colored threads that they looped into their mouths for the rattlesnakes to keep their mouths shut. That's why Chris Robinson, because I was impressed. When I watched the film, I was like, holy shit, this guy's got no fear. He's sitting at a table, laying his head down, got rattlesnakes hanging all over him, like legit rattlesnakes. And you could tell because at times they have to cut the audio because the rattlesnake is sitting on the table and its rattle is going, that you don't hear it in the audio. So they've got to edit those out. So yeah, no fake snakes were harmed in the making of this film, only real ones. So it was no wiener dogs as snake costumes, unfortunately. No evil eyes in this one, Raven Darkstar. That was a shame. And a lot of people may find those sequences really, really hard to watch. I know I did. I did not like that. Now, I'm still a fan of William Griffith. I still am a fan of his films, legendary director. And of course, like it'd be like writing off Francis Ford Coppola because of the animal violence scene that was depicted in the jungle in Apocalypse Now, or some other films like that. It was rough. But if you can stomach past that for the sake of this story, you get a fairly intriguing little story here. Okay. Now, William Griffith is well known. The big thing that you will see that this number one, yes, people are pointing out it's a fucking it is a cash grab on Willard. Willard with I'll look up his name later. But Willard came out and, the guy commanding the rats to get his revenge from her, the kind of like underachiever, kind of loner outcast, kept finding a connection with rats and then using those rats to exact his revenge on people. Obviously, that movie inspired this film. It's almost identical in a lot of respects. The only differentiation is that in Willard was, horrifyingly emasculated by both his mother, his peers, and his boss. And so that emasculation led to his lashing out using his rats as revenge. In this particular one, it's kind of like this follows more in line with Griffey's overall ideas. Have a good night on Dean. I have a great one. I hope you have sleep well. So I hope you have a good night. This one really, really follows Williams' kind of like the overarching themes of his films. And you will notice this, that in William Griffith's films is that there's always the irony of people becoming that which they hate. That it's very Nietzsche in that look. Like you look too long into the abyss looks back. You fight monsters for too long, then you become the monster yourself. That we ultimately become that which we hate. In the fight against what we hate, we ultimately become what we hate. And the idea of the outsider, Bruce Davison, thank you so much, Cindy Sue. I knew there was a B in there. So more like Swillard. Yes, wrote him. Gabba gabba to you. So, and the vengeance of the outsider. The people that we push to the extremes, that we push to the fringes of society, and then they simply can't take it anymore and they exact their revenge. The slow descent into madness that is of no fault of their own. Drafted into Vietnam, William Griffith was staunchly anti-war. I mean, he didn't do some like hardcore war protests, but anti-war themes are seen in a lot of his movies. You will pick those up in bits and pieces that he was really against the war without overtly saying he was against it, but pointing out all the detrimental effects of it, whether on a geopolitical scale or whether on a personal scale. In this case, it's traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder. And so where the guy's literally living in a shack, talking to his snakes, serving them dinner like you would a person, obviously not a stable individual, but not his fault. Done to him, drafted into that. And it follows these themes extremely well. I think Chris Robertson gives a very, very effective performance, and the bad guys in it are fantastic. I love what they brought to it. I am fucking Steve Alamo. Steve Alamo is was fantastic. I thought he was an absolute blast. So was Alex Rocco. Alex Rocco, people remember from The Godfather. And watching this movie was like a fucking masterclass in how to develop a bad guy in film. How to start and how to finish it. Not to mention his final sequence when he dives into the pool and it's just like, ah, and he belly flops into the pool on top of all the water moccasins. Although technically they weren't water moccasins there, but if you look, there's a lot of constrictors in that sequence. So, but he's jumping around like that. I love his arc as the bad guy. Steve Alamo was fantastic, and Mark Harris was as well. There was a lot of fantastic character acting in this, which I think was just, terribly underrated. And I found Chris Robinson compelling. Although, obviously this film was made at a time when, if you really wanted a Native American actor, all you needed was a white guy who could, put on a good tan. But I thought Chris Robinson did, well. For a soap opera star, I thought he gave a compelling performance. The one thing that didn't sit well with me that I felt like Greffy kind of like broke away from was the third act of the film. The third act, essentially at the end, when he's exacted his revenge, he's killed all the people against him, and now he's descended into kidnapping. He kidnaps the main bad guy's, his daughter. He kidnaps his daughter, takes her off to his shed, and then it appears that they're developing this relationship, and he goes into this kind of like batshit, like extreme Christian mentality, and then ultimately realizes, and then winds up, getting into a fight with the snakes, and the snakes won't do what he says. The snakes rebel against his commands, just like happened in Willard. And then the snakes rebel against his commands, and they wind up biting him, and then he sets fire to the place, and she eventually escapes, and then he realizes, what have I become? It's like that he has become that which he hates, because it was never about saving the snakes. It was all about him. And he recognized that in the end before he does this, before he dies. So it was a little weird, like the tone of the film shifts very oddly. But the first two acts are pure 70s drive-in B-horror, just, greatness. The characterizations, the use of all the snakes, the amazing cinematography, not to mention, the oppressive atmosphere of the Everglades. Everything, everything was working fantastic. It just gets a little weird and a little off. I would say kind of like half off the rails in the third act, but eventually ends with Greffy's typical, we become what we are. We become that which we hate. In our quest to avenge ourselves, we wind up becoming the thing that we were avenging ourselves against. And so that was a common theme. And I love that it maintains that, the vengeance of the outsider, and how we create our enemies. We inadvertently create our enemies, and then our enemies, to gain justice, wind up becoming us. And I love that William Greffy always had that kind of overarching theme, no matter what project he was doing. And I don't think he gets enough credit for. I really don't. But I know that the fans of his films out there, I think that they probably see that as well. But I love that was so strong in this one. Not to mention with its anti-war themes, with the post-Vietnam War, the effects of that, the long-term effects of that. But yeah, it's an interesting film with some compelling dialogue, some compelling thoughts, some interesting philosophical concepts as far as man's relationship with nature, man's relationship with himself, and kind of goes a little weird in the third act, but I think you will really enjoy it. Not to mention some great character acting. Fantastic character acting across the board. I don't think there's a weak link in this entire thing. And it continues. I mean, with the whole like animal violence thing, and I know it's hard. I mean, even Greffy himself, when he did, I think he himself said in an interview that he still had the wallet that Stanley the snake was made into. So like Stanley the rattlesnake in the film was eventually made into a wallet, and he kept that. And not to mention, I found it hilariously ironic that Chris Robinson, for all of his talent, Chris Robinson was playing a Native American Vietnam War veteran who shunned society and shunned money and material things in order to get back to nature and find that balance that he lost due to the war. So he's playing this character who is staunch, who is like anti-capitalism and all that other stuff. So this hardcore character, while at the time he himself was guilty. Now, he hadn't been convicted yet, but he eventually would be. He was guilty of tax evasion. So it's a white guy playing a Native American who's anti-capitalism, who at the time of playing it was guilty of tax evasion. which I thought was fucking hilarious. But you just can't, I mean, the irony of sometimes the parts we play don't teach us shit. They really don't. But, you know, what do you know? I found it to be very, very interesting that he would later be brought up on those charges, despite, while engaging at the time while he was playing this role. I found it to be absolutely hilarious. So, but nonetheless, Stanley, fascinating little film. Fascinating commentary on post-war society, post-Vietnam War society. Interesting performances across the board. And, you know, if you can stomach the animal violence, which there is some, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, some snakes get smashed, some baby snakes get smashed with a shotgun. One snake gets actually shot with a shotgun. You know, so dead snakes are visible in this one, and snakes are, you know, pretty much manhandled in the film. You're not going to appreciate it. Then knowing that some of the snakes were defanged to make the scene safer. Some of them had their mouths sewn shut. So not great. But getting through all that, it's actually a fairly fascinating little film. So you can definitely check that out. It's currently online. I believe it is on Tubi right now. So, but the question I have for the audience tonight, the question for y'all, because William Grefé was such a prolific director, and I believe that, what was it? Born in 1930, still going. And there's currently like back in 2020, a Blu-ray collection of his movies came out called He Came from the Swamp, so you get a collection there. But he's done it, I think the last film he did was in 2013. But if you have a favorite William Grefé film, let us know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. What is your favorite of his film? Because he's got a bunch, especially his horror films. I Eat Your Skin, Sting of Death. We actually talked about that one on the show a couple of seasons ago. The Naked Zoo, Stanley, obviously, Impulse, Mako, The Jaws of Death. So he's got a bunch on there, which I think are really, really fascinating. Not to mention some other ones like, you know, Death Curse of Tartu and The Devil's Sisters, and The Psychedelic Priest was actually pretty good. So if you have a favorite of William Grefé's films, let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com. Love to hear what you guys think. Prolific director. Interesting vision that informed his projects. And I think that this one, Stanley really, really spoke to this one. It really, really did. All right. Oh, Aaron Reese is back. Good to see you, bud. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. It says, no purple blankets were harmed in this film. That's great. Sir Kevin says, I harbor no love for reptiles, but my personal mantra has always been first, do no harm. Agreed. There was a lot of shit that they got away with in the 60s and the 70s, in film up to the 70s, before, you know, animal rights activists, PETA, a number of other organizations started stepping up and being like, no, the ASPCA, you can't do that. You know, you can't do that. We can't put these animals in harm's way. But they got away with a lot of shit, you know, and some stuff is kind of gross. And this one, you know, Stanley ranks up there with, like, you know, the cow killing scene in the cow killing scene in Apocalypse Now, and some other sequence. I don't need to name them all off. You guys are aware of them. So, you know, it's just kind of rough to watch. But, and think about the actors who did that, you know, the actors who were cool with that I don't know if I could. I couldn't. I know I couldn't. I couldn't, as an actor, be like, you need to do this. Even an insect, like step on a spider or step on the cockroach. I don't like cockroaches, but I'm not going to just stomp on one for the sake of film. You know, we don't need to, that's just me. We don't need to go that direction. We don't need to show that. We can easily mock a cockroach to get the splattery effect, you know? We can. Aaron Reese says, what do you call sex while tied to a bus seat? 50 Shades of Greyhound. Nice. And kind of gross and probably sticky, you know? Very, very gross. Let's move on to our next one. Now, this next one is kind of special, and I'm bummed because I don't have Eugene or Johnny or Aaron or Alex here to talk with me about this one, because this one was going to be kind of a group discussion. You know, I wanted to get ideas from them as filmmakers, but maybe Aaron will give us some stuff in the live chat here. But this was fascinating. So the film that we're bringing up, and this one was on the slate, released May 24th, 1912. So May 24th, 1912. Yes, a silent film called The Mask of Horror. Now, The Mask of Horror is fascinating. One, it is a lost film. The film is not available anywhere. Film is not available to watch, so there was no movie to watch in our third slot. Second, there was no trailer of anything like that. Third, there are no surviving picture stills from the movie. So all we know about the movie was that it was directed by Abel Gance, and Abel Gance, French director, or Gons, it might be Gons, I might be mispronouncing that, but who directed movies like The Wheel and Napoleon in 1927, Bonaparte and the Revolution, really, really, really fascinating stuff about French history. La Dame Camélia, I think is how you pronounce it, but a prolific director who directed this little horror film called The Mask of Horror. Now, it was a silent film. It was only 24 minutes long, if I remember correctly. I think it was 24 minutes long. And so the premise of the film, starring Edward de Max, Charles de Rochefort, and Florel, the film follows a mad sculptor, okay, searching for the perfect realization of the mask of horror. Places himself in front of a mirror after smearing blood all over himself with the glass of an oil lamp. So he cuts his face with an oil lamp and to make this mask of horror. He then swallows a virulent poison to observe the effects of the pain in his face to find the perfect mask of horror. I think that such a premise lends itself perfectly to the silent genre, just to see the physicality of such a sequence. Now, unfortunately, everything about that premise, it only exists in our imaginations, like how we could imagine that. And so I really wanted to dive into the discussion with Eugene or Johnny or someone else and get their thoughts about if we wanted to shoot this, like if we wanted to make this movie, how would we make it? Like, say we wanted to recreate the mask of horror, and this was going to be a kind of, hey, Extra J, good to see you. Extra J, hey, good to see you. Glad you got here. Appreciate you hanging out. Because I really wanted to get our thoughts as filmmakers. Like, how would we have done this? What could we have done with this? What effects could we have used? What in-camera effects we have used? Who would we have cast? Did we have if we were going to cast this bad boy? Like, who would we have put in that role of the mad sculptor? Because ostensibly, it's actually really it'd be fairly easy, right? You have a single location, which is the sculptor's studio. So you have a single location which you can manipulate the light of. Maybe have one major window up above that allows light to come in from the top. You could have like sparse windows, like maybe double up the studio as almost like a jail as well. So it feels kind of like it's his place of safety, but it's also where he is captive because he can't break out of it. He's like trapped there. He's trapped himself there. So it could like double as both a studio and as, kind of like give the idea of like an imprisonment. Because you can say that he's a slave or he's a prisoner to his imagination and his thoughts or to his process. A lot of ways you could play with the environment in this one. And I don't think you need any green screen. I think you would just need a really, really solid art department. And then you need like along the walls, you need the cinder block walls. I love that. Left-Handed Jedi, cinder block walls. I love that. And then along there, you have his other sculptures of different faces in different ways, like or whatever it might be. You have some like early stuff where it's just like very, very, very simple sculptures of people. Then it gets more and more and steadily more macabre as it goes along. This is where the art department is really, really important, and they what they're going to bring in order to convey this. Now you could do this in black and white. Obviously, this film would be in black and white, or you could do it in color. I think it serves better in black and white because then the shades of darkness will speak to people's imagination better. And then you have the mad sculptor. Who would play him? Who could play the mad sculptor and do it effectively? I know some stage actors that would knock this out of the park. One dude I knew named Hank Henry, who was just fucking phenomenal. He works professionally down in Texas. He would be great. He's got the physicality. He's got the age to him. You got the look of the wise look to him. He would be fantastic. But if you were to cast like a major movie actor, like who could play the mad sculptor? Who could do that? Daniel Day-Lewis, probably. But yeah. Then you have your casting. You cast your guy. There's nobody else involved. It's a one-man show, right? So he's sculpting. He's doing his stuff. Then he's trying to find the perfect mask of horror, the perfect one. And then, Joshua Lee says, do we know what caused the film still to be lost, or is that part of the mystery? That is part of the mystery. It was never stated if the film was lost in a fire or if the print was just lost by Gantz or the production company, but no copies of it have been popped up. The only reason we know it existed and was shot was because Gantz talked about it and he included it among his filmography of the movies that he had done. So we know that he shot it. We know the people who were involved. Everybody confirms that, but where the copies of it went, we have no idea. So that's part of the mystery of that one. A lot of those old films, you know, going back in the day, or maybe whoever owned the rights to it just never wanted it out and just kept all the copies. Who friggin' knows? But yeah, then going through that process of making, Aaron Reese, I love this. Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is the mad sculptor. That would be the fucking shit. That man could do it. And then using his face is to define the mask of horror, to basically using a mirror and then carving up his face for the blood, then drinking the poison to get the most pain, and then, you know, using that to sculpt his own face as the perfect mask of horror. Aaron, why does this sound like a fucking music video? Why does it sound like you could actually do this as a music video for like, yeah, I don't know what kind of like, obviously metal, maybe alt metal, or, you know, maybe sludge. I have no fucking clue. But this sounds like a metal video. Like if you had Willem Dafoe going through this, and then you film the whole sequence like a short film, and then you intersperse it with the band doing like that. Or I have no idea, but this sounds like it could be like a fucking music video, like a music video premise, a death metal video. Oh, Tool, that would be cool. Yeah. So, Gary Oldman could definitely do it. Oh yeah, Gary. I like the idea of Willem Dafoe just because of the plasticity of his face and that his physical movements, he can convey that pain because he's, well, you know, like his physicality is so much. I think there's a kind of lithe strength to that Gary Oldman doesn't have. Both phenomenal actors, but as far as like the body goes, I think Dafoe is more capable of that kind of physicality than Gary is. Maybe nowadays because of their ages, maybe that's what it is. But I think Dafoe would be an excellent pick. But, you know, Oldman could do it too. He absolutely could. And then being in there to shoot this bad boy, you know, the idea. A Slipknot video, 9 Inch Nails, Slipknot. These are fantastic. It feels like it could be like if you reshot this and actually did it. It feels like this could definitely be a music video. It really does. Like the backdrop for a music video. Find a song that matches the idea of the pain in one's face or the pain projected upon or whatever, and then make it into this, you know, a person trying to understand their own pain or come to terms with their own pain. Yeah, I mean, this is what we do here. You know, this is the theory crafting portion of Week in Horror podcast where we talk about stuff. Now you see why I really wanted one of the other guys here with me to spitball and bounce this stuff back and forth, so it wasn't just me just yelling at the screen. So I think it would be fascinating to see the choices that the actor would be able to make when given simply this. You want to sculpt the old like the perfect mask of horror. And so in order to do that, you cut up your own face, okay? Use the blood all over your face to create this mask, and then drink poison to contort the pain, to bring the pain out of you. And doing all that, you're going to sculpt your face that you see in a mirror to create the perfect mask of horror. You know, run with that. How would you play with that? And how did the approach to shooting that would be so weird? You know, because I would almost be tempted to set up the whole set like a playground. Okay, set everything up, all the art, and let the actor come in. Okay, familiarize themselves with the space. Okay, give them that opportunity to familiarize with the space, get used to the sculpting table. Okay, maybe and no major tech, no big advanced tech, just all the old school shit from the turn of the century. Let them get used to that. Let them get used to that shit, and then just let them run. You know, let them run through the sequence while being there off to the side to give them encouragement or whatever they might need. But let them fucking just run with it like they were on, like they were giving a performance, like they were doing performance art, you know. Let them even bring in their own music, you know. Let them play their own music in the background, because you're not going to use it for the film, but let them use their own music in the background, or maybe even use their music. Why not? And let them run with it, dude. This would be fucking. I think this would be amazing. And then set up different camera angles. Shoot this thing probably top lit with some moments of bottom lighting, of some underlighting. Okay, but moreover, I would want the majority of the lighting from the top, maybe some angles, but the idea of highs and lows. I like the idea of the windows being higher than the sculptor, but the angle of them allowing enough light in during the day, and then that light slowly disappears as the sun moves. You know, to give the imprisonment idea, the imprisonment of one's mind. the imprisonment of one's pain. I like that idea. And doing this would really come down to the art department. It would come down to the art department. It would come down to the actor that you choose to play, that you cast. Okay? Yeah. I fucking love this idea. Now, obviously, I don't have another person here to kind of bounce these ideas off with, but I think it's fucking fascinating. And I think this is actually something that could legitimately be done. And we could have a lot of fun with it. I don't even know if it would be all that expensive, but because, one set, fairly simple lighting, don't have to worry about just capturing ambient sound because the actor doesn't have any lines. There's nobody there to work across from. So it's all physical. You're going to get your close-ups. You're going to get your wide shots. You're going to get your overhead shots, undershots, maybe a few ECUs. There's going to be a lot of Steadicam in this. There'd be a lot of Steadicam. You would need a set I think you would need a set. This would have to be shot on a soundstage, I think, because you would need a set that has 4 walls, and then you could remove 2 of them and then close those 2, open up the other 2 so you could shoot from the other angle if possible. So you constantly have to move back and forth. Or maybe if you pre-staged it, you could just have set cameras that pick up those moments and just record everything all at once, and then take all your footage and take all your raw footage and then edit it that way. A couple of ways you could do this. Really. A couple of ways you could do this I think would be fascinating. Candle or firelight for the flickering shadow effect. I love that sarcasm. I really do. So this is a fascinating idea. And this is I found this, and this is kind of a new thing at Weekend Horror I kind of wanted to try out. The kind of theory crafting, because we've done it, we've speculated in the past about films that we would have done better, come up with better ideas, how to convey something better, whether it be cinematography or acting or story-wise or writing-wise. So I've wanted to kind of do this with this film. It was like, holy shit. As filmmakers, let's talk about how we would do this, or as it turns out, let's talk about how JL would do it. So I found this really, Raven Doctor says, this tangent brought to you by JL's ADHD. I actually don't have ADHD. My brother does, but I don't. They tested us both because my brother had it, and then my mother was like, well, maybe my eldest has it. So I went in, I was not diagnosed with it. I was good to go, but my brother actually has it kind of bad. But I found this really, really fascinating. I wanted to kind of test this out. I just wish I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty out there, but I wish I had a counterpart to kind of bounce ideas off. Eugene would have been fantastic to get his thoughts on this. He really would have been. That would have been a lot of fun. But what are your thoughts? Is this something that could be done? Do you have anything additional? Maybe we missed something. Maybe I missed something during the breakdown. We had a lot of fantastic suggestions of different things here in the live chat. But what about your suggestions? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. This one is kind of a theory crafting idea, putting things together. What could we actually do? Would this be a fun thing to shoot? Really, really cool stuff. So Hystercam says hyper focus is more of a high functioning autistic trait. Oh, interesting. Josh Lee says, this does sound eerily familiar to the scene I mentioned earlier. So let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com your thoughts on what could potentially be done with remaking The Mask of Horror. The film is gone. It's lost. Maybe it needs to be brought back. Maybe Abel Gance needs to be kind of like given his due, and we'll kind of pay homage to that by recreating The Mask of Horror. I'm fascinated by this premise. I really am. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to do. Even if it never won any awards, I think it would just be a fucking blast and an opportunity for whoever got cast to really go for broke in a small space as a physical actor. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So let us know down in the let us know your thoughts, your opinions, additions, suggestions down in the comments below, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Fascinating shit. We gotta love those lost films. All right. Whew. Gotta wet my whistle. Kind of going on, blah, 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 like this. Oh, yeah, I did. That was a big, it's totally space. I didn't realize. Oh, that was what I was going to ask everybody. I totally spaced. Casey Cooper says, Jail is channeling his frustration from the Face of Horror contest he didn't win. Probably. All right. So the question that I almost missed it. The question I wanted to ask the audience, not just your thoughts, your comments like that, but is there another lost film out there? Because there are many. Is there any other lost film that you think could be remade that would be better than The Mask of Horror. So if you're familiar with one, or you know one, and you think it would, that one could be remade, it would be better than The Mask of Horror, or could be more fun to remake, let us know down in the comments below, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Love to hear your thoughts on that. So yeah, let us know. Remaking lost films, which one would you like? Do you like our idea, The Mask of Horror? Or is there another one that you think might be better? Let us know. On to our last one of the night. And holy shit, it's an hour and a half in. I am like right fucking on time. The last one, this is good because I have a production meeting after this I have to get to. So the last one we have tonight, and the one I was most excited about because you gotta fucking love these guys. Released May 25th, 1945, we have The Body Snatcher. Let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube. See, that's how you're doing it.
Together. You mean we would sell the bodies to the doctors together? To dig them up? There'll be no digging. The kirkyards are too well guarded. We will, so to speak, birth them.
Ray killed her.
We can't be sure of that.
I'm sure, and I mean to report it. It's like Burke and Hare all over again.
That is...
Grave robbing is one thing, but this is murder.
You ordered this subject. Received it here and paid for it. That makes you a party to murder.
You must leave this house.
I can't do that. You heard McFarlane.
Save yourself, Master Fetters. Look at McFarlane.
Gray, I must be rid of you. You become a cancer, a malignant evil cancer, rotting my mind.
You'll never get rid of me, Tony.
Wow, that music in that trailer does not lend itself to what was happening in that movie. But yes, that was the trailer for The Body Snatcher from 1945. So The Body Snatcher, where did it go? Yes, The Body Snatcher. So directed by Robert Wise, screenplay by Philip McDonald and Val Luton, who was credited as Carlos Keith, based on The Body Snatcher by Robert Louis Stevenson, and starring Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Henry Daniel, Edith Atwater, and Russell Wade. Now, the film itself follows a doctor who is essentially involved in a plot with a body snatcher or a grave robber, played by Boris Karloff, Mr. Gray, to dig up, basically bring him bodies for dissection for his medical school because of the laws that currently restricted the ability for doctors to basically study human anatomy at the time. And so they had to procure cadavers from graveyards in order to actually further their trade and get better as doctors. So, and of course, things turn to shit when a new assistant comes in and morals start getting involved and people start turning on each other, and then the police action starts ramping up, so they can't steal bodies anymore. So they got to get him some other way. Obviously, there was a major real life event that this took inspiration from, but we will dive into that. But the big thing about this is that I have to admit the trailer is a bit misleading because the whole sequence about Boris Karloff, because you loved it, unlike unlike the previous movie that we talked about, the movie that we talked about last week, where the Black Cat with Karloff and Lugosi, where the two of them get to play off each other perfectly. You know, it was them. It was basically the good guy versus the bad guy, and they got to hit head on. This one, not so much. I feel like the trailer played it way too much to be like that they are going to be the centerpiece of the films. They're not. Lugosi's role is actually rather small in this film. So if you're expecting, if you didn't get a chance to watch it already, and you're expecting a kind of like prolonged, you know, like back and forth between Karloff and Lugosi, you're not going to get that. Lugosi plays the janitor in this one. He's brought in as the janitor, and he tries to blackmail Karloff's Gray, and Gray kind of like brings him in, like lures him in with like, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we could go into business and get, you know, and make some money together. And the janitor's like, oh, really? Could we? He's like, yeah, let me show you how it's done. Oh, and then he just kills him and murders him, and that's it. And then turns his body and then gives his body to the doctor for dissection. So the real star of this is Boris Karloff. I fucking loved it. Okay. It's a magnificent little character study and showcasing these different kind of character tropes that persisted through World War II era and post-war era horror films. And I love it. It's a loose adaptation of Stevenson's Body Snatcher and takes more inspiration from the Burke and Hare murders that took place, which is essentially the same thing. Two guys who were grave robbers who found out you can make money by digging up graves and delivering the corpses to medical schools and then get paid. And so they just started doing that. And they would dissect the bodies to get rid of the evidence because they needed the skeletons and they needed the organs, everything. Just, you know, they would just throw out the rest. So, but unfortunately, when, you know, police presence ramped it up, they wound up turning to murder. I believe that Burke and Hare put like 16 bodies under their belts before they finally got caught. And, but this takes big inspiration from that. But the star of this film is definitely Boris Karloff. And I think two things will stand out to you on this is one, there is definitely even though the film is set in Edinburgh, the film definitely, I mean, the character of Mr. Gray definitely has some Victorian England, I would think, reference or inspirations there, some Victorian England inspiration there, because the man in the black top hat wearing the black, I would say the raincoat, almost like the duster, driving the carriage in the middle of the night, the sound of like hoofbeats on cobblestone streets, that invokes the late 1800s, 1888. That definitely invokes Whitechapel and the Ripper murders. The sequences of him with the top hat on, dressed very formally, disappearing into the shadows, those all evoke the ghastly nature of the Ripper. So he puts off a definite Jack the Ripper vibe with his kind of like silhouette. There's a Ripper vibe there. But then you have when he takes the hat off, and I can't be the only one with that hairline, with that that I guess that diagonal hairline. Who do we know who had a diagonal hairline in the 1940s? The most, infamous man at the time. Obviously, there was a hit. I think that I took that as a Hitler reference, that he takes that top hat off and it's like, come on, who are you trying to be? So invoking all of this imagery from horror, either the contemporary horror, the modern horror going on people's going on right there in the world. And then of course the kind of callback to, the Ripper murders. So not to mention the whole thing influenced by the Burke and Hare murders as well. So I enjoyed this one very, very much. Because this is a really solid opportunity to watch Karloff really dig into a villain. Okay, but not just your classic mustache twirling ha 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 villain, or it's very obvious. An everyman who is smart enough to know what he's got, to not push his luck, and to take advantage of a very opportunistic villain, who never does more than he needs to, but is always willing to do what he has to. I really, really dug that. I loved Karloff's performance in this, and everybody just kind of like orbiting around his character of Mr. Gray, and the way, his look and the way that glare he's got from how he can go from friendly to terrifying in like, the turn of it, the flip of a coin, or in a heartbeat is just absolutely brilliant. So I felt that this one was fantastic. The big issue is that I found the biggest issue, and it was a missed opportunity. Not that the film did anything bad, because everything about the film is great. The narrative is fantastic. I love the moral quandaries that are being brought up, the important questions that have been brought up. Fantastic acting across the board. I loved, the doctor, the primary doctor. McDonald or McFarlane? I love McFarlane's performance. Toddy, I love his performance, and then of course the whole the added kind of like B plot of Georgina, the paralyzed girl. The difference between the whole idea between with medicine, you do medicine to help, not to hurt, and the idea of betraying the Hippocratic Oath in this, but betraying it for the further advancement of our craft. So betraying the Hippocratic Oath so that we can do better for other people. The necessary evils and shit like that. So many things going on in the film that I really, really enjoyed. Okay, and we got to see it from a number of different angles. The missed opportunity I felt was the fact that Karloff and Lugosi, even though Karloff was so good as Gray, he was so good. I would have loved to have seen Lugosi in the role of McFarlane. Lugosi as the doctor, as the conflicted doctor, and Karloff as the as Mr. Gray. Karloff was perfectly cast, but Lugosi was miscast. Him as the doctor, as McFarlane. He's got the look, he's got the authority, he's got the presence. He could do that. He could run with that role and cast somebody else for the janitor. Casting him as the janitor was such a waste. Let that man work, and that would have given us a fantastic back and forth. Another moral quandary, moral dilemma argument from Gray and from the doctor, and then watching Lugosi play the arc of a man pushed to his extremes where he's willing to take these limits. But then you have the kind of Poe influence where it's like he hears him taunting him from the grave, and he looks at him and it's his body, not the other body they just robbed. So I the ends justify the means. Absolutely. So I loved the idea. The film itself is fantastic, wonderfully shot. Even though it's a black and white, the lighting and the use of darkness and darkness and shadow in this to portray these characters is brilliant. Juxtaposing the darkness and the hard grit of the external world with the sterile kind of the clinical atmosphere of the medical room. So. And then the kind of meeting ground of these two places, which is in the pub. So where everybody comes to congregate and where, people go to dark corners and talk about dark deeds and shit. And I fucking loved every element. Pacing is brilliant. Editing is fantastic. It's top-notch across the board. The only misstep is that fucking Lugosi should have been McFarlane. What he would have brought to that role, okay, conveying that internal dilemma, that conflict, would have been fantastic. And then having him play off across from Karloff again, especially in a role that gets so physical, that would have been good. And think about that. Lugosi there, and this was the last film they did together. The last film they appeared in together. And Lugosi in that carriage, riding there, hearing the voice of Karloff, you'll never be rid of me. You'll never be rid of me. And then he's like, and then he looks and it's Karloff's face. It's not the body that they just stole, not the woman they stole. It's him. And then the carriage goes out of control and it's Karloff grasping at Lugosi, and then he loses control and then he winds up dying in their bodies, and then he dies there. And then what a fucking commentary, for the two of them, to their last performance together in a film. And then Lugosi dies, Karloff is dead, but Karloff drags him to his grave. I thought that such a beautiful commentary that was as totally a missed opportunity. God, these fucking hell, RKO. What are you thinking? But man, a really, really good film. Aaron Reese says, it's disturbing how often body theft intensifies into making bodies. The Resurrectionist, Ed Gein. You're right. Absolutely. Josh Lee says, were Karloff and Lugosi alive when Vincent Price was alive? Did they work together? That's a damn good question. And actually easily figured out. Karloff died in 1969. So Karloff died in 1969 and he was 81 years old. So Karloff passed in 1969. Lugosi passed in 1956. and he was 73 when he passed. But Vincent Price, was born 1911. He passed in 1993. So they may have crossed paths. That's an interesting question. Why don't I know that off the top of my head? Did they ever work together? I'm kind of curious about that. No, okay, so according to Vincent Price, he and Peter Lorre went together to Lugosi's funeral. And apparently Lugosi was dressed in his Dracula costume, in his 1931 Dracula costume. So the kid, but apparently, so Karloff and Lugosi, their children have said that there was a rivalry. Let's say the only rivalry that existed between them was when they were both up for the same roles. And in reality, though, Lugosi and Karloff had almost no relationship offset. They were reportedly amicable whenever working together. So they were just professionals, just professionals. Fuck, man. I would have loved to have seen Lugosi in the role of the janitor. That would have been so much better. I really, really do. I really do. Now, the one thing that I want to ask the audience, the big thing I want to ask the audience, I know you may not have seen this film, but this film was one of Robert Wise's films. And Robert Wise was a tremendous director. And I think people may sleep on his movies. This may be one of the ones for the real film aficionados. It may be. But the thing that I wanted to ask the audience, the thing I wanted to ask you guys, was of the films of Robert Wise, which he did many. Not to mention, the Body Snatcher, the Hindenburg. He directed Star Trek: The Motion Picture. He The Haunting, the adaptation back in 1963. I Want to Live. This Could Be the Night. Run Silent, Run Deep. I know a lot of you older guys are gonna know that film. So The Day the Earth Stood Still. So he directed a number of amazing films. Legendary filmmaker. So the thing I wanted to ask the audience tonight, I know that Body Snatcher is great. Body Snatcher is a fantastic film. But what was your favorite? What has been your favorite? What has been your favorite Robert Wise film? Of his incredible filmography, like I said, I named off a bunch of them. He's got a lot more. What was your favorite Robert Wise film? Was it The Body Snatcher that we talked about tonight? Star Trek: The Motion Picture? Run Silent, Run Deep? The Hindenburg? Day the Earth Stood Still? So many good ones. But let us know down in the comments below or weekinhorror@gmail.com what your favorite Robert Wise film was. And let me know if you agree with me that Lugosi should have been the fucking doctor in that one so we could get some more action in their final. I think that would have been a much better choice. Damn you, RKO. I think that would have been so much better. I'm just thinking about how those scenes would have played. I really am. It would have been fantastic. Let me see. Rave Doctor says there is no STMP or ST5. What? STMP? Star Trek Motion Picture? Oh, Star Trek. Funny. Very cute. Well, Star Trek Motion Picture is technically just like, an extended tour of the exterior of the ship. We all know that. So what are you going to do? But nonetheless, let us know. Favorite Robert Wise film down in the comments. All right. Well, that's the last one we got to talk about tonight. So you know what time it is. It is that special time that everybody on the show is waiting for because they love it so much, because the opportunity for them to win stuff. If test their horror knowledge, that means it's trivia time. I always try to change it up a little bit. Yes, it is trivia time. I have got the live chat up right now. So if you are the first one in the live chat to get the correct answer to this trivia question, you will win a special item from the Week in Horror store. Remember, we got all kinds of cool stuff. We've got, camping mugs with Jason on them. We have got No Lives Matter mugs. We have got all kinds of limited edition t-shirts, puzzles, pint glasses, hoodies, all kinds of cool shit. Not to mention, got the sleeveless shirts with Jason on them. Just sleeves just slow you down. So if anybody is athletic and likes, like sleeveless shirts. So, but we all kinds of cool shit. So here we go. Your trivia question for the night. The infamous 19th century Scotland Burke and Hare murders were adapted into a black comedy starring what two English actors? The infamous 19th century Scotland Burke and Hare murders were adapted into a black comedy starring what two English actors? First correct answer down in the live chat gets a special item from the Week in Horror store, a mystery item. Let us know who's got it first. This is amazing. It was an amazing movie. It really was. So I thought it would be faster than this. I really did. The infamous 19th century Scotland Burke and Hare murders were adapted into a black comedy starring what two English actors? Need them both. Need both of them. So let us know down in the live chat. Who's going to get it first? I definitely thought it was going to be faster than this one. Cindy Sue got it. Boom. Cindy Sue was first. It was Simon. Oh, wait, no. Cindy Sue, no. You only got it half. No, you got it half. I'm sorry. That's half of them. Simon Pegg was one of them. Tim Curry was not the other. Close. Raven Darkstar says, me and my shadow. That's cute. Angel Rivera says, Bill Haley. Nope. Not Bill Bailey. Not Tom Wilkinson. So, infamous 19th century Scotland Burke and Hare murders were adapted into a black comedy starring what 2 English actors? That's the key. Come on. There we go. Travis Brown's got it. Simon Pegg. Oh, no, he doesn't. Fuck. Why am I fucking that up? It was Simon Pegg, yes, but not Nick Frost. Angel Rivera, Simon Pegg was William Burke, and Andy Serkis was William Hare. Yes. I got Tim Curry here. Oh, wait, no. So, wait, what was it? Hang on a sec. So, holy shit. I'm all fucked up. This is what happens when I do the show alone. Do you not see this? Cindy Sue did get it correct. Simon Pegg and Andy Serkis. I misread that, and I read Sarcasm's comment. Says Simon Pegg and Tim Curry. I fucked up. I'm embarrassed for myself to be a host of a show and fuck up so badly. I am sorry, Cindy. You were correct. And apparently I was correct before I second guessed myself. So, congratulations, Cindy Sue. Well done. You are correct. It was Simon Pegg and Andy Serkis played Burke and Hare from the movie. So, yes, Cindy got it. I fucked up. That's my bad. Way to go. Totally screwed it up. Raven Dark says, yes, you did. Shame, shame. Where's the bell? Ding. Ding, shame. Ding, shame. I fucked up. But thank you so much for forgiving me. Congratulations. Cindy Sue says, we forgive. Oh, Casey Cooper says, we forgive you. But Travis Rose says, you better give Cindy Sue 2. I feel like fucking, like I'm announcing Moonlight here. I fucked up. It's like, and the award goes to, not you. I totally fucked up. Aaron Reese says we would have unfucked it post-stream. Yeah, probably. But congratulations, Cindy Sue. You are correct. It was Simon Pegg and Andy Serkis played the infamous Burke and Hare. Very, very funny movie, even though it's a very macabre subject. Operation Free World says that sometimes there's sometimes a madness in your eyes, jail, but that's what you need in showbiz. True. There really is. Angel Rivera says, this happened because you did not play the trivia horns. I did play the trivia horn. I did. I totally did. Did I play the trivia horn? You did hear it, didn't you? Josh Lee says, amazingly, the film was called Burke and Hare. Yeah, it was. I did play the trivia horn. I swear I did. I promise I did. I thought I did. Let me know if I did. Apparently, I didn't play it loudly enough. Does that mean I need to play it again? I don't think I should play it again. Should I play it again? Oh, apparently, Casey Cooper says, yes, I did play it. Yes, you played it. I covered my ears. Tango says, yes, you played it. I covered my ears. Tango says, please don't. Okay, I won't do it. All right. There was a horn like 5 of them. All right, horror fiends. Well, congratulations to Cindy Sue. Well done. I'm sorry I fucked it up, but you won a special item. We'll get that printed and shipped to you ASAP. Well done. And that's going to conclude this episode of the Weekend Horror Podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us. So that you never miss a future episode. Join us next week when we look back at the biblical action horror, The Devil's Tomb, the Mexican cult classic, Even the Wind is Afraid, the mid-2000s occult horror, Devour, and the legendary Henenlotter classic, we're finally getting to it, Frankenhooker. It's going to be amazing. Be sure to check out Josh Olsen's store at badsamurai.store. He does all the awesome artwork you see splattered all over our merchandise, which you can find over at Teespring. And for more from Weekend Horror, check out all the bloody links that are down in the description. Follow us on the socials for your daily splatter, your daily horror recommendation. Join the Discord for watch parties, big announcements, all kinds of shenanigans. And support the show through channel memberships, super chats here, PayPal, or even through our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You can help make the show possible. Thank you to everybody who does that. All your names are down there in the banner. Okay? We love you. So what are you waiting for? Join us. As always, thank each and every single one of you, despite the fact that I fuck up a lot, for being the greatest audience a horror film podcast could possibly have. I am JL. We will see you all next week. And as always, stay scared.